You see the truth behind the veil, and you know that they're just looking for attention. Oh, you don't let the ruthlessness prevail. Oh, it's time to light your fire for ascension. Like a phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and desire. You transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes. Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn a thirst and desire. You transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes.
Good morning, everybody. A later good morning than normal. It's it's not half 11 yet. It's 11:24. There is 2 hours and 5 minutes until the deadline. We've got a slightly later deadline today, 1:30 p.m. UK time. My transfer is locked in. I did Calvert-Lewin to Strand Larsen last night before Calvert-Lewin dropped in price. Calvert-Lewin's sales just basically increased quite a bit last night, and it looked like he was going to drop in price, and he did drop in price. So I made that move before I lost 0.1 million. I think I could have held him and maybe rolled the transfer and just bought in like João Pedro or someone like that in 12 or 13. But I don't I don't know. I don't want to risk that João Pedro is not an option basically. And also I get the Southampton game. I avoid a price drop, and I am 0.1 million off doing Fernandes to Saka in one move. So Rico Lewis to a 4.7, 4.6, 4.5 defender, and then Fernandes to Saka in game week 13 looks like a pretty solid move to me, and I get to keep Trent. So I'm quite happy with it. The only slight risk, and you could say it's a big risk to be honest, is I've got Raul Jimenez and Strand Larsen. If one of them gets injured and I've got no money in the bank, my only exit route is to go for a dud forward and just use the money elsewhere, which I don't really want to do, or go for João Pedro if he's fine. So that's why I've bought him in. It leaves options open in the future. I've got 1.7 million in the bank, so if I want to back out of this, I can just get someone else later on and just not buy Saka. So I'm just going to play it by ear. I'm going to enjoy the international break. I'm going to hopefully roll in game week 12 if there's no major disasters, and then I'll reassess ahead of game week 13. Captain Salah for sure. Vice Captain Solanke. I've just seen that Adam from Above Average FPL has taken a hit to bring in Bruno, so that's already made my morning that people are taking hits to bring in Bruno. Absolutely love that. Yeah. Anyway, that's my moves. Do I reckon Welbeck is still nailed on when João Pedro comes back? It's hard to say, isn't it? Is the honest answer. I mean, he's played so well, you would hope that he would stay in until those performances drop. But it could be Rutter 10, Minter right wing, João Pedro 9. Like, I think it's worth remembering that when João Pedro was fit, I know it was only 3 of the 10 games we've had so far, but in at least 2 of those games, Welbeck went off, João Pedro stayed on for the whole match, and played number 9. So it's possible that at some point, João Pedro could just start a game as the 9. But I would say Welbeck has done himself no harm in the way he's played for keeping his place. And João Pedro's been out a little while, so they might take a bit of time to, reintegrate him. But he is going to probably be in the squad today. I guess minutes off the bench, and then he's got a 2-week break then to kind of keep building up the fitness. So I think from 12-13, we're going to start seeing him back in the 11. And Hertzler was very praising. That's not the right way to phrase it, but he praised João Pedro quite a lot at the start of the season. So I suspect he'll be in and around that team more often than not. But getting his Strand Larsen, why not? I've got the most informed Norwegian number 9. That's all that matters. I saw someone else say that Haaland's going to score 4 goals. I mean, yeah, possibly. That can happen any week, right? Haaland's great. Fresh trim. My son did this. It was his last day of work experience in a barber, so I let him cut my hair again. That's 2 free haircuts in a row now. Happy days. Haaland had great form for 5 games now, blank for 5. Just know he's going to start smashing and go. Yeah, again, I think like Haaland will score goals. I don't think that's really going to be a shock to anyone. Erling Haaland, the guy with like 70-odd goals in 70-odd matches, probably will continue to score goals at quite a good rate, I would say. Is it worth selling Son for Palmer or Roll? There is no reason to sell Son this week. 0 reasons. Honestly, I don't think you can give me a single good one. Maybe if you haven't got Haaland or Salah and you can do Son to Salah for captaincy because you think he's much better, maybe. But most people are not in that situation. If Roll is Son captain viable, I have Haaland as well. I would personally go Haaland, but if you want to take the risk on Son's minutes, you could go for him. What's cooking? Well, I just cooked breakfast. I mean, you can't really call it cooking because it was just porridge. So you're basically just warming up oats and milk. But, that was good. Glad you enjoyed the content. Strand Larsson or Evan Nielsen already have Cunha. I mean, Evan Nielsen has been benched once this season. Is that likely to continue? Probably not. Could take penalties if Kluivert's not on the pitch. Bournemouth a stronger attacking team than Wolves. I spoke about doubling up on yesterday's video. I think going Strand Larsson over Evan Nielsen's fine to double up with Cunha. It's not going to be a massive problem until game week 80 and onwards. But also, it's just a psychological thing. People just don't like doubling up, especially on forwards. Just doesn't feel right. Yeah, Haaland hat-trick. I smell it, yeah. I feel like these are just copy and pasted from last week. I feel like people have been saying that about Haaland for about 5 weeks now. I mean, he will score a hat-trick at some point, yes. Absolutely. Thoughts on captaining Bruno or Son? I think I would go Son. I would risk the minutes in that situation. What's happening with Palmer? We don't know. Maresca basically said they hope that he can train today and then they'll see. Yeah, as far as I know, so the information we got yesterday from Maresca was, I think, after the Chelsea game on Thursday. So that didn't really help because we don't know if Palmer trained on Friday, but I don't think he probably has if he's mentioning Saturday. So I think the best case scenario is that Palmer's trained Friday, Saturday, because he hasn't trained up until that point. And Maresca, I left out a quote in my final thoughts video yesterday, which I didn't see until after I'd recorded it. Maresca said something like, just because he's walking and getting dinner doesn't mean he's fit, or doesn't mean he's fit to play, or something like that. He is a doubt. I know because it's against Arsenal and Palmer very rarely misses out. There's so many people that think there's not even a doubt here. He's just 100% going to play. There is a doubt. Palmer might not play. It wouldn't be a massive shock. But I still think it's more likely that he plays than not. Either way, you ain't selling him because he's got great fixtures from game week 12 onwards, and you're not buying him anyway because he's flagged. So I don't think it's a huge concern. You're not captaining him. There's much better options this week. So just don't worry about it too much. Please rate this team. Flecken, Lewis, Vardio, Ain't Nuri. I keep forgetting about how much he's going to punish me at some point. And it could well be this week. Hopefully he blanks and gets a yellow card, but I'm not so sure. Salah and Burmo, Rogers, Garnacho, Cunha, Solanke, Haaland. Yeah, it's fine. The only thing to say about Garnacho is there is slight doubts on whether he's going to start, which would be gutting if you're an owner. And the basic reason is that Rashford didn't start in Europe. Now, I still think that Garnacho is ahead of Rashford in the pecking order, but the fact that Rashford just had a bit of a rest means he probably starts against Leicester. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. And Amad Diallo was about the one of... I'm not even sure... I mean, Bruno didn't play terribly, but there were a few misplaced passes. Amad Diallo was the only player I would say to come out with credit in that game in Europe. It was pretty terrible for Man United overall. And so if he's fit, he'll probably start, which means you could have him and Rashford, no Garnacho. But Amad Diallo did pick up a knock, so it's not a guarantee that he starts. So basically, if you've got Garnacho, you've got to play him, because I think the fixture's too good, but there is a chance that he's benched. Stuck. Who to start? Raya, Flecken, and Gabriel Collins. I mean, I've got Pinnock, right? I'm not expecting a clean sheet, but it is a better fixture on paper than what Arsenal have. I'd probably start the Arsenal players, I think. Do you think Eric will be rock hard? Yeah, probably. Dibbling to Semenyo for better bench to cover Palmer. I wouldn't make a... No, I wouldn't do that. I would just roll the transfer. I know there's doubts there, but I probably wouldn't do it. Flecken or Sarr to start. Oh, you got to go. Oh, Flecken. Yeah, Flecken or Sarr. Sarr for sure, right? I mean, unless you think there's worries about Johnston coming back in, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. Yeah, I definitely take the Southampton fixture. You've got Solanke as vice captain. Would you captain him or Son? I think if I had Son, I'd have to go for him over Solanke. It's just a massive, massive differential. I will say this, though, right? It's easy for me to say that because I don't have Son. And by the way, I really wish I hadn't got Palmer last week. The fact that he's now a doubt just makes that move even worse. And obviously, that's hindsight. I didn't know he was going to be a doubt going into Arsenal. But that team, I think, looks pretty good this week. If it just had Son instead of Palmer, it'd be so good. Anyway, back to the question. What was the question? Oh, yeah. It's easy for me to say Captain Son because I don't have to make that decision. All I can say to anyone thinking of it is, do not be shocked if he gets brought off like 60, 65 minutes. I think he will play more, and I think the fact that Mikey Moore, Richarlison and Werner are all likely to be missing out means that Son's minutes should be better. But Ange Postecoglou basically said he's being managed. So I think 70, 75 is the absolute most. If he came off earlier than that, I don't think it would be a shock, especially if the game is comfortable. If it's comfortable, hopefully Son's got a bunch of returns, but that's not a guarantee, obviously. Is Salah a must-own? No. Would need to sell Haaland to bring him in. I think selling Haaland's fine if you want to, but I don't think Salah's a must-own. Quite nice for captaincy this week. Quite nice in game week 12, but lots of players are good for captaincy, right? Spurs players this week, Haaland, even Fernandes. Next week, you got Cole Palmer against Leicester. Will Flecken ever get a clean sheet again? Yeah, hopefully this week, because not only would it mean Semenyo's blanked, but it also means I've got my Pinnock clean sheet as well. Haaland or Salah for captain? Salah for me, I think. It is Haaland differential over Salah captain, because I suspect that Haaland's still got way more owners, although I've not looked, to be honest. Salah is a cover. I would just, it's early in the season, I would just go for whoever you think is going to score the most points. Already took a -4 for Semenyo, who's on 4 yellow cards. Nice. Well, he's a good pick, right? Until he gets that suspension. Maddison to Palmer, Rico to Matsurari, or wait a week. Honestly, Maddison owners, I think you've had it a bit tough. I'm not sure he's going to start. From what Spurs fans have said, he was pretty terrible in Europe. And I think they could play with 2 10s and just have like Maddison and Kulusevski in a game like Ipswich, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. It just doesn't feel right to sell a player before Ipswich home, because what if he does start? I just think it's very unlikely. So I'd be tempted to move him on. But to Palmer also doesn't feel great. I'd maybe roll and hope for the best. Flecken or Fabianski? Fabianski, I think. Captain Haaland or Brennan Johnson? I would probably captain Haaland, but if you want to go for Brennan Johnson, absolutely you should go for it. How do you resolve the mental issue of picking players that play against the team you support? I just don't worry about it whatsoever. Like, I'm not hoping that my team loses. I'm just making a decision for a game. You know, I'm not like, if I've got Erling Haaland captain against Man United, I'm not sitting there hoping that Haaland scores. I'm just making a decision that Man United defense has not been great and Haaland's pretty damn good, right? Like, other people find that a lot tougher, right? That's absolutely fine. Like, some people who are Spurs fans won't pick Arsenal players, etc. But I'm just playing a game at the end of the day. Bench Gabriel, Aina, or Kirkes. So Brentford away, and Chelsea. I'd probably bench Kirkes. Salah's good. Yeah, you could get Salah. It depends who you're selling, right? Start 2, minimum 1 defender. Okay. Robinson's interesting, I think, against Palace. I think I would start Robinson over Aina. No, do you know what? I'd actually probably start Aina. Damsgaard and Rutter. If you've got Rutter, you probably play him, right? Oh, it's Man City, though. Yeah, I think you play him, though. I'd probably start the 2 attackers in Aina, I think. Like, Damsgaard's been starting recently. I think he has been for a little while, but I'm just going to double check that because I could be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure he has been. I don't think he's got many returns, though. Damsgaard. Yeah, 70-ish minutes. Yeah, I think I just play Damsgaard, Rutter, and then probably Aina, just because Forest have been so good. But I just think Newcastle's tougher than Palace, but Palace is the away game, right? Probably Aina. Thoughts on Fabianski versus Raya? Basically, West Ham have got the better fixture, but West Ham defence is terrible. If any team can rock up to Chelsea away and get a clean sheet, I think it's Arsenal. I don't think it's likely, especially if Palmer plays, but they're at least capable of doing it. So that's why I'm just probably going to play Raya because he's a better goalkeeper. Also, another thing that's playing on my mind, well, I said yesterday that one thing that's playing on my mind is if I finally bench Raya and that's the week he gets a clean sheet, that's going to be a killer. But another thing is, I've forgotten now. I've lost my train of thought. What's the other thing? Everything's playing on my mind at the moment, apparently. There was something else that was making me play Raya over Fabianski, and I can't think what it is. Oh, yeah. Earlier on in the season, you know when Arsenal got like a clean sheet against Spurs and Villa, and Gabriel was scoring against Spurs and Man City, all the talk at the time was, I'm just going to get Arsenal defenders and never bench them. But obviously, since then, they haven't got a clean sheet since game week 6. And now all of a sudden, the narrative is, well, I might play Fabianski. If this was game week 5 or 6, and we had this same decision, I think everyone would be playing Raya because of what had happened before. So is it short-sighted to now change that opinion, or do we think the Arsenal defence is that bad now? I don't think it is. I think Arsenal defence is still great. So I'm just going to play the better player in the better team, even though I know Fabianski's got the better fixture. It's quite close, though. Honestly, I think if you wanted to play Fabianski, it's fair enough. And I might switch by the deadline, but right now that's why I'm playing Raya. Arsenal did concede 2 to Leicester as well, but one of them, I can't remember both goals, but one was an absolute screamer. Like, Arsenal's defensive numbers have still been very, very good this season. But the thing is, Arsenal haven't been conceding more chances. Like, if you look at the numbers, it just doesn't... Now, I've not watched every game that Arsenal have played for 90 minutes each time, but the numbers would tell you otherwise. Like, the expected goals conceded last few games. I've been through this in videos this week. Like, against Leicester, 0.32. That's nothing. Nothing. 0.65 against Southampton. 1.82 against Bournemouth was poor, but Bournemouth were a good attack, and they were down to 10 men, Arsenal, right? 0.85. That's Liverpool at home. Less than 1 XG to Liverpool. And then 0.53 against Newcastle away. They are not conceding that many chances. I must admit, I don't remember Liverpool having that few chances, to be honest. But what do I know, right? The data says otherwise. Yeah, James Justin was just amazing against Leicester. These things happen, right? Like, if you gave people the choice of playing double Arsenal defence against Leicester again at home, they'd take it every time. Anyway, that's why I'm playing Raya. If you want to play Fabianski, you should just play Fabianski. It's a pretty tight call, I'd say. It's like terrible defence, good fixture versus great defence, bad fixture. I should swap. There's part of me that thinks I should swap. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I know Walker and Lewis play together sometimes. I know it can always be pep roulette. You haven't really asked the question, but I assume it's about Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis could play left back. Some people are speculating it could be Lewis left back, Vardio left centre back, Akanji right centre back, and Walker right back. It's possible. How likely? I don't know. I need to start 2 from Rodgers, McNeil, and Calvert-Lewin. There is a chance that McNeil's out. The thing is, I think he'll either be fully out or he'll start. So I would probably play McNeil and Calvert-Lewin and have Rodgers first bench. Wood to João Pedro. No, I wouldn't buy someone that we haven't seen start for weeks. Foden to Salah captain's fine, and Trent to Dallo, Reece James -4. It doesn't sound great to me, if I'm honest. Reece James is fine, but I think part of the reason he's got back-to-back 90s is because he's not being as hacking anymore. I still don't trust his fitness over December when there's extra fixtures. I just don't think he's worth the risk, personally. What happens to Man United fullback minutes with Shaw back? Well, basically, the answer is who knows. There's a new manager from game week 12 onwards. Like, Luke Shaw's been out for a while. I don't think he's started since February or something like that, which is mad, by the way. Like, Man United need a new left back badly. And if it is going to be a back three, they need a left wing back badly. I mean, ideally, like Luke Shaw fully fit would play, and then Matsurawi or Dallo would play right back. But it could be a back three. Luke Shaw could play left centre back. He's very good at that. And, you know, Dallo and Matsurawi could be the wing backs until they get a proper one in. I just don't know. No one knows for sure. We can only speculate. Worth doubling up on United defence for a game week 11. I mean, if you've got two Man United defenders already, yeah, I wouldn't be using transfers to double up, though. Please pick two. Fabianski, Pickford, Lewis, Mikalenko. I'd probably play Fabianski and Mikalenko, I think. And hope for a 0-0. Haaland, Smith-Rowe to Salah, Welbeck, or Havertz, Smith-Rowe to Strand, Larson, Bruno. I mean, like, honestly, I don't think I can really answer that, because selling Haaland to get Salah is such a big call. I've talked about that loads over the last couple of weeks, so I won't go into full details. Like, are you happy going without Haaland for a few weeks now? Are you happy with Salah captaincy? If you really want Salah captaining, that's the move I would make. If you're going to panic the first sign that Haaland scores a couple of goals, I would just do the other move. I need to change music. Wildcard active. I've not thought about Game Week 11 wildcard whatsoever. I'll just say that now. Have Solanke, Larson and Wood as a front three. Nice. Dicey about Wood. Any recommendation options or go with Wood? I really... Oh, who's banging at my door? Let me have a look. Oh, it's some guy with like a massive bag or something. Hang on, I'm back in a sec. And I'm back. My wife ordering herself fancy stuff again, no doubt. Early teen using that bag. No, unfortunately. It didn't have swag written on it. They always knock and then just leave. The cartel money rolling in. Absolutely. Where was I? Oh yeah, Chris Wood. I think Chris Wood is fine, honestly, if you want to go with him. He's been so good. But having to play Arsenal and City in the next 4 is not great. For that kind of price, like Raul Jimenez, Cunha and double up with Larson, find some more money and go for Isak. All potential options. Is having Son differential enough about captaining him? Minutes worry me. If you're worried about minutes, don't captain him. Like, he's a great option still. 50 months, by the way, thank you. Rahul, thank you. Should I hold Johnson this week and replace him in Burmo next week, or bring in Burmo in now? If you've got Brendan Johnson against Ipswich at home, you keep him. Fixture-wise, they are getting a bit tougher for Burmo. Like, after Bournemouth, it's Everton away. The thing is, I think he's still okay to buy, honestly. Excuse me. He's quite expensive now, though. I guess the thing is, you're paying 7.9 million for him. What's that going to block elsewhere? Because if it blocks a really good other move, then maybe you do just go without him. I think some people will talk about selling in Burmo soon. Whether they go through with it, I don't know. 14 months, hope you're good. Is it too risky not to captain Salah for Burmo or Cunha? You already know the answer. If I don't go Salah, would you go in Burmo or Cunha? I'd probably go in Burmo, honestly. I think his goal threat is higher. He's on penalties. Cunha probably is, but I guess it's Southampton, so maybe I will get drawn into the Southampton factor. I think I would go in Burmo. No Palmer news, by the way. Would you be happy captaining Larson and Cunha versus Fulham away? Oh, playing Larson. Yeah. Unless I've got someone better. Like, it's not a perfect fixture, but also, like, I had Calvert-Lewin for 6 weeks. Like, how much worse can it be having Strand Larson, you know? Saka and Semenyo or Isak and Mbeumo? Ooh. Probably Isak and Mbeumo for the next few weeks, honestly. Want to take a risk in captain Solanke over Salah? What do you think the chances of Ipswich grabbing a clean sheet? Very low. Like, one of the lowest possibilities of a clean sheet this week, I would say. Like, you've basically got... I haven't checked the expected goals conceded for Ipswich, but you've got one of, if not the worst defence in the league versus the best attack so far in Spurs. I just don't see how Spurs don't score today. Or whenever it is, tomorrow, I think. Why Lewis bench? I just don't know if he's going to start, so I'm just playing Pinnock instead because he'll definitely start. Hopefully he'll get a goal. It seems very unlikely, but I doubt it. Decided to go for Haaland this week will be a big risk. He will score a hat-trick. Well, if he's going to score a hat-trick, it's not really a big risk. Thoughts on a risky Johnson captain over Salah? I think when people ask those questions, you already know what the answer is going to be, right? You already know that Salah is the one, otherwise you wouldn't be asking. And so there's obviously there's risk because of Salah's captaincy. Because of his ownership. You know, Salah is so consistent versus someone like Brennan Johnson, but Brennan Johnson's been good, and it's a great fixture. So if you want to go for it, absolutely go for it. I just think if you're going to do that kind of move, like, you can't be shocked if Salah outscores Johnson, right? But I certainly don't. I don't hate the idea of captaining any of Solanke, Johnson, or Son against Ipswich. You know, it's a great fixture. The better differential captain, Bruno and Mbeumo or Cunha? I'd go Bruno out of them. I think Cunha and Bruno have got the better fixtures. Bruno's goal threat's been higher than Cunha this year, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Someone fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Bruno's guaranteed to be on penalties as well. I'd go Bruno. Captain Strand Larson or Johnson? Definitely Johnson. Would you prefer sacrificing for... Who would you prefer sacrificing for Saka, Trent or Solanke? Probably Trent, to be honest. If you had Johnson instead of Bruno, who would you have removed to bring in Saka? Well, Johnson, but just not this week. Mbeumo has hauled every home game this season. He's pretty good, yeah. That's why I would go for him over Cunha. Him versus Bruno's a lot closer, though, I think. Like, just because Mbeumo's been hauling and Fernandes hasn't, doesn't mean it's always going to be that way around. I think Leicester at home is better than Bournemouth at home, so I would go Fernandes over Mbeumo this week, I think. Just about. By the way, I can see why people might not want to do that, and it's perfectly fair to go for Mbeumo. Who's Mbeumo played at home, by the way? Because sometimes, like... Yeah, I mean, the home fixtures, Southampton, rubbish defence. West Ham, terrible defence this year. Wolves at home, terrible defence. Ipswich at home, terrible defence. So it's all well and good saying Mbeumo's home form is great, but fixtures play a part in that. Like, do I see Brentford putting 3 or 4 past Bournemouth? No. They don't have to put 3 or 4 past Bournemouth for Mbeumo to get a double-digit haul, obviously. It could just be 2 goals, right? But it's not going to be as easy as the fixtures they've had so far. That's my only shred of hope for not having Aït-Nouri, is that the Wolves defence will give up chances, and so him getting clean sheets is going to be difficult. Not necessarily against Southampton, but even Southampton could score against that Wolves defence. And then you've got to get the attack and returns on top. So that's my only shred of hope, making myself trying to feel better about not owning Aït-Nouri, because when he scores, it's going to be everywhere on Twitter, because just about everyone will feel like... It'll feel like just about everyone owns him. think you missed the what's cooking comment because you said you were too old to use that term. No, I mentioned it. I talked about porridge and everything. Should I transfer Lewis out for Vardiol or roll? I'd probably roll. If you're going to sell Lewis, I probably wouldn't buy Vardiol right now. I think 40 and onwards he's okay, but I don't see clean sheets next 3. Start Lewis, Harewood, Bellis or Konza. Liverpool away, Brighton away, maybe doesn't start, and Harewood, Bellis has got Wolves away. They're all pretty rubbish, aren't they? I think they all concede. I'd start Lewis. Potential upside, I guess. Play Rico Lewis or Lewis Hall. I mean, Lewis Hall ain't going to keep a clean sheet, is he? Because he's playing the mighty Chris Wood. I'd play Lewis Hall. Who will you prefer? Oh, I've done that one. Only because I think you can be more sure that Lewis Hall's going to start. 12% 8 Nuri. Yeah, his ownership's not massive, but I'm telling you now, it'll look like everyone on Twitter owns it when he does well. It just will. It's nice to be a part of that. I'm not a part of that this time. I could take a hit to bring him in, but that leaves me very tight for Fernandes to Saka. And I don't necessarily want to do Fernandes to Saka next week. I'm going to keep Fernandes for Ipswich away because he'll still be a differential. Play Palmer or Welbeck. I think Welbeck scores. I'd play Palmer. I will say, though, I think because of the doubt on Palmer and the fact that Welbeck will probably be on penalties, so I don't think João Pedro will start, I think that's a closer call than it probably looks. I think the answer for me will always be Palmer, but it is probably a little bit closer. Like right now, would I rather play Man City at home or Arsenal at home? I mean, it might be Man City, honestly. But I think I'd still play Palmer. Do you think if Arsenal doesn't get enough clean sheets in the next 5 game weeks, that it's better to go for the pool double up at the back? Is it worth going big at the back? Well, I mean, is it worth going big at the back? We'll find out in the next few weeks. I think premium defenders are starting to be underrated a little bit just because of what's happened the last few weeks. Like people are always very reactive to what's just happened. And so right now, Trent's like blanked a few times. Arsenal have been terrible since 6. So the idea is that it should just be cheap defenders and that's it. But I'm not sure that will always be the case. But we won't know until another 5-6 game weeks time, right? Liverpool double up is good. Kanate and Van Dijk's quite a nice cheapish way into that. But it depends on the fixtures, right? Like, there's so many factors to decide whether you should move to like a Liverpool double up at the back. Like, what if Gakpo goes and gets himself injured by that point? Then you might want Luis Diaz, right? And you might want to keep hold of Salah or bring him in. So the answer is, who knows? Ask me again in 4 or 5 game weeks' time. Swap Garnacho for Smith Rowe for the next few game weeks. I think if you've got Garnacho, you've got to play him. Son, Solanke, or... and I probably wouldn't sell him either. Son, Salah, or Solanke captain. I'd probably go Salah, but I think Solanke and Son are both good options if you want to go for the Ipswich at home factor. I have Saliba and Gabriel on my team. I'm forced to play both this week because of the way my team's set up. I regret doubling up on Arsenal defence. Okay. I mean, if you can't do anything about it, don't worry about it. It'll look a lot better next week until Chris Wood wipes out the clean sheet. Foden to Salah, Lewis to 8 Nuri for me. I love your stuff. I mean, I like it. Yeah. I'm very jealous of 8 Nuri. 34 months, thank you very much. Is Fabianski a risk over Raya? Not a massive one, to be honest. Like I said earlier, if you want to play Fabianski, you absolutely should. I would ignore Garnacho right now, because as I've said already, he may not start. There's a few doubts there. It's probably all going to depend on Amad Diallo's fitness. The price changer screen is frozen. That is because I didn't fix it before I started. Hang on a sec. By the power of streaming magic, I'm going to fix that. So that's one thing, and then stop that play. Okay, it should rotate properly now. Slanky heading towards another price rise, by the way. That's so good. So I bought him at 7.5 when he went to 7.7. Then when everyone sold him before Aston Villa, he went down to 7.6. And then he goes and gets 16-pointer, and straight away you get that money back. And now he's had like 500,000 transfers in this week. Now he's close to another price rise. That is great. Can you give a shout out to my girlfriend Mix, who has put Strand Larsen and 8 Nuri? Very nice. Southampton at home. Looking good. Thoughts on the rugby union match between Ireland and New Zealand? I really don't follow rugby. Hopefully Ireland win, but that's about all I can say on it. I did watch Ireland versus the All Blacks once at the Aviva. That was kind of cool. I've mentioned this probably a load of times before, but watching the Hacker in person was pretty cool. Like, the stadium was basically silent. It was so loud. Oh, they've already played, have they? Okay, well, there you go. That shows you how much I know about rugby. Did New Zealand also beat England recently? I genuinely didn't know. Apologies, Ireland rugby fans, if you're watching this. Commiserations on the loss. Let me see what the score was. New Zealand. Oh, 13-23. That's even worse than England, wasn't it? 22-24. Oh, jeez, Ireland, come on. Terrible. Where's Flecken, Verbruggen, Kadioglu and Winks for bench boost. Kadioglu might not even play. And you've got Winks. So probably not, I think. You got Winks up against the mighty Man United. You know that Wolves haven't won anything. Yeah, I don't think they've won a Premier League. You're probably correct on that. Do you have your wife and kids, and would they be considered Irish? They are definitely Irish, yeah. Am I from Dublin? If yes, north or south? I am not from Dublin, although the accent would make you think otherwise. Love your content. Is this your full-time gig? Fortunately, yes. If you're going to ask me how it got to this point, I don't really know, but I am very grateful and privileged to be able to do this every single week. Who knows for how many more years? People might get sick of me at some point, but for now, we just enjoy it, basically. If I don't get a green arrow, even though I'm like 1.8 million, if I don't get a green arrow this week, I swear to God, I will cry. That's okay, you can cry. Fabianski, Trent, Nuri, Davis, Salah, Palmer, Song, captain in Burma, Cunha, Vissa, Raul, Jimenez. You should get a green arrow. Like, obviously, all your premiums could blank and Haaland could score a hat trick, but with the fixtures most of those players have got, if you don't get a green arrow, I'd be surprised. Andy with that new Salah trim. I mean, Salah has definitely got more hair than I do, that's for sure. Bench boost in one of the next 3 game weeks, I mean. Generally, I don't know what fixtures all 4 of those players have got, like in a particular week, so you'd have to double check yourself, but I would guess that it's probably not worth it. Just save it till later in the season. If you're on wildcard, which 3 strikers would I have wanted? I probably would have tried to fit Isak in if the money went there. I guess I would have probably gone without Haaland still, because I don't have him now. So maybe Isak. I mean, it's easy to say Strand Larsen now, but I might have gone for Cunha. But probably one of the Wolves forwards, maybe Isak instead of Solanke. But then, if I was wildcarding, would I really give up the opportunity to not have Solanke right now? It might depend on how many transfers I have. If I was wildcarding with 2 or 3 transfers, I'd probably go Solanke with money in the bank to get Isak next week. I probably still wouldn't have gone Chris Wood, but that's just me. I'm finding it really hard to basically not say I would go for the forward line I've got now, but I haven't really thought about wildcard that much. I think Isak could be one of the players that I'd want to try and fit in. How people think you're Irish with the Bristol accent, I don't know, although it's a mild accent. Yeah, so I went to uni in Preston, and I remember being a little bit tipsy one night. I think in Wetherspoons up there, and I was asking people like from England where they thought I was from, and not many people could guess from my accent. Like, there's certain words I say that come out very West Country every now and again, like that "sacker" when I said "sacker" in a video like a few weeks ago. But yeah, generally people find it difficult to pinpoint exactly where I'm from with the accent. Most of the time, when I used to live in Preston, you would just say that if they couldn't guess, you'd say it's somewhere down south, and almost every time, the next answer would be, the next guess would be, oh, so London then. Always, every time you're up north, you say it's south. Oh, London. At least that was my experience anyway. What was my favourite pub? I'd have to say the Queen Vic, just because that's the only one I can remember the name of. We used to go in there for like £10 all you can drink on Tuesdays. And that was good fun. Long time ago now, to be honest. It might not even be there. But it was basically in front of the uni halls. Flecken, Everton at home. Verbruggen, Bournemouth at home. Kadioglu, Bournemouth at home. Winks, bad fixture, Chelsea. Yeah, I wouldn't bench boost that. Also, you don't have Flecken and Verbruggen on your bench. You must have a fourth player. Lewis to 8 Nuri or Roll. Have 2 frees. If you want a Nuri long term, I'd be very tempted to do it and just take the Southampton fixture now. Honestly. I heard on an FPL podcast that an FPL manager said he was guaranteed a green arrow this week. How is that possible? Well, it's obviously not possible, right? They're just very confident about their team. Like, I'm confident-ish of a green arrow this week, but it's certainly not guaranteed. Like, I could easily not have a clean sheet again this week. Palmer could blank against Arsenal. So then I'm relying on my differentials like Bruno. Slanky's less of a differential now. If you had both Haaland and Salah, would you consider Haaland differential captain? I'm still not convinced that Haaland is the differential captain between the two, but maybe he is at this point. I would go Salah, though. I would just go for whoever I think is going to score the most points. The Queen Vic is still there. Good. Good to know. It was purple when I was there. I only knew that Western accent was different to Bristolian when I met my future wife and it was in the Caribbean. Yeah, Western is much more mild compared to Bristol. That's for sure. And I know that because pretty much all my family, for the most part of my life, has lived in Bristol, and their accent's a lot thicker than mine is for the kind of Bristolian twang, I would say. Calvert-Lewin to Strand Larsen for a hit. No, I don't think so. I'll just keep Calvert-Lewin. He should start today. West Ham versus Everton is the game on TV in Ireland this week. I ain't watching that. Actually, I might watch it if I'm not doing anything else. I think the games for me are a bit rubbish today because you haven't got a 12:30. The 3 p.m.'s West Ham Everton. I'm probably going to bench Fabianski and I've sold Calvert-Lewin, so I don't really want to watch that. Brighton versus City, I've got no players, and so Haaland could massively punish me. Maybe Liverpool. Liverpool at 8 would be good. Salah captain. And Trent. Maybe Trent can finally get some returns and the narrative can swing on him again. I'm sure someone just said to me something about the Tropicana, but I can't find the question now. I don't know if it was just thoughts. Oh, have I ever been to the Tropicana? Yeah, I went like when it was still like a swimming place when I was at primary school once. Don't really remember it. That's about it. Lewis to 8 Nuri or another defender up to 5. I'd probably go 8 Nuri off the top of my head. I quite like Colwell from next week. Possibly Brighton defenders from 13. And Man United defenders if you can spend 5.1. But 8 Nuri is pretty good. Haaland Salah flip. Would you go Visser or Welbeck? I'd be tempted to go Welbeck and hope he keeps his place in the team. My friend who finished top 1k goes to Preston Uni. Must only let people in with good ball knowledge. Yeah, well, my decision to go to Preston was very last minute, and mostly because I just didn't really want to. I mean, a lot of it was because I just didn't want to keep working where I was working. I thought, why not just go to uni instead? Like, honestly, that is. And my friend was also going there. That's kind of how I ended up at Preston Uni. Probably, little tip, probably not the best reason to choose to go to uni. Especially when I racked up thousands in debt and I've never used my degree for anything. But, you know, we're young, we make mistakes, and now we sit here talking about our fantasy football team. So it's all gone all right in the end. I am listening to Blink 182. Apologies if I'm humming or whistling or whatever. How come I'm in the Bournemouth fan league? Because I set my team up very quickly to try and get a low ID. I just clicked whatever and I haven't changed it since. That's some life advice for you about university. You probably shouldn't just go on a whim. How old was I when I went to uni? Well, I went at 18 straight out of college to UE in Bristol. After about 6 weeks, I quit. Then I went to college, didn't finish the course properly, and got a lower qualification. And then went back to uni when I was like 20 or 21. So I racked up a lot of debt along the way. My degree is business studies. Got like a 2-1. Why is a low ID important? It's not really. But you know, we're FPL managers always looking for an edge. I mean, there are certain situations where having lower ID can I can't remember what it's for, but like it can help in certain situations if there's like if you're close on points and points scored or something like that. But it's not going to matter. It's just one thing that like really engaged, seasoned FPL managers try and get. It's not important whatsoever. There are lots of sites where you have to put in your FPL ID though, and sometimes it's handy to have a lower one to remember it. But that's about it. Big up Huey, the University of Wasted Education. I kind of wish I'd stayed, to be honest, because I think it would have been good. And also meant I wouldn't have gone to uni again. But like, I just don't see the point in having regrets about it because maybe I wouldn't be where I am right now, you know? Is De Bruyne starting for Man City today? I would find it surprising because he didn't get many minutes off the bench midweek. I think he'll probably be on the bench again. If you're on a league on the same points with the same amount of transfers, lower ID wins. There you go. Surely that 50k per stream pays the uni debt. It does, yeah, exactly. I'm not so worried about it now. How can you listen to music and concentrate on this, or does it help? I guess most of the time you zone it out, but then sometimes you're humming it and still reading. I don't know, I don't know. When I used to revise and stuff, I'd always listen to music. So I think, I don't know. Kind of got used to it. The thing is, if I take my headphones out and I don't listen to music, I mean, with the music in, I can still hear what I'm saying, but not quite so much. Like it's less off-putting to not be able to hear yourself properly, I find. Maybe that should tell you something, that I'd rather not listen to myself. Maybe you should just not listen to me either. Got Cunha. It's just you can just hear it louder and I've done it for so long now. It just feels weird to be in this room. Like I just need some sound in my life. Got Cunha and Haaland, who to replace Calvert-Lewin with. You could just roll. Wait for Brighton forwards next week, maybe. Otherwise, Raul Jimenez, not a bad option. Pick one of Visser, Larsson, or Raul Jimenez. Already have Cunha. If you don't want to double up, I'd go I'd go Raul Jimenez. If you don't mind a double up, I'd probably go for maybe Larsson. I quite like Raul Jimenez still. Gabriel to score from a set piece on Sunday with Chelsea's poor defence. I would like that, yeah. Did you go to the cinema in Dublin? No, never. Dallo or Delict as the long-term defender pick? I think if I was putting my money on who keeps their place longest under Amrit, it'd probably be Delict. But I think there's a really good chance Dallo is in that team for a long time. I think he's more interesting, so I'm going to say Dallo. Why Larsson and not Cunha? Just money. 1.1 million. Basically, the short version is by going Strand Larsson instead of Cunha, I can do I can do Bruno to Saka by selling Lewis instead of having to sell Trent. So essentially, I'm going for Larsson and Trent instead of Cunha and a cheaper defender. Now, it could have been like Konate, right? So it's not terrible to have gone Cunha, but I kind of want to keep Trent. I just need some sound in my life. Sounds so sad. Yeah, I'm a sad kind of person. When did FPL become online? I heard it used to be in the papers. Probably quite a long time ago now, but I don't know exactly. Would I dare to go back to Reece James for next week? Probably not. I'm probably more likely to go for Colwill if I buy a Chelsea player. This is my first time playing FPL. You're helping me with the psychology of the game, not the draft, but still very helpful. You sure you meant to send that to me and not Ross? I'm not sure how I could help with the psychology of the game, but hopefully it's working. You're the grandfather of FPL content creators. That is not true. That is Mark. Come on. That is definitely Mark on Black Box. The old FPL that Badil and Skinner used to do on TV was amazing. I've never seen that, to be honest. I know who Badil and Skinner are, of course, right? The greatest England song ever. But and I've seen them do other stuff, but I never really watched that show. Why am I not Captain Bruno? Because I've got Salah. I've got Bruno in my team for 2 more weeks, maybe 3, and then he's probably going. How much should we spend on the bench for Christmas? Probably not too much more than normal. I think it's just good to have playing players, right? Do I remember Badil and Skinner unplanned? Nope. Not at all. Don't think so, anyway. I'm sure I've seen some of their stuff, but the only thing I can really picture right now is Frank Skinner doing... Didn't he do Room 101 for a while? I've got no interest in captaining Fernandes over Salah, honestly. Start 2 of Calvert-Lewin, McNeil, or Semenyo. I'd bench McNeil out of those. There's a chance he doesn't even start. Would you get Salah in for Saka downgrading Trent? Allows me to have Haaland, Salah, and Palmer. Honestly, I'd be tempted to keep Saka and Trent and just not have Salah. Because you can captain Haaland this week, and next week you can just captain Palmer instead. I think Salah and Palmer captaincy rotation's pretty good, but after this week and next, a lot of the captains are Palmer anyway. So I'd be tempted to keep Saka and Trent, but it all comes down to whether you're prepared to hold Trent through maybe a couple more blanks, and whether you think long term he could be good. If you don't, then get rid of him. Like if you've been watching my stuff, you know I'm trying to keep Trent at all costs, but at some point you might have to go. Watching after a few weeks, why are you still doing with Bruno? Go back and watch the videos. Honestly, I don't want to keep talking about it. Put it this way: Bruno Fernandes has outscored Luis Diaz since game week 6, when everyone went for Luis Diaz. So Bruno hasn't been that bad. Played Delap or Rodgers. I probably played Delap. There's a chance that Romero is missing. Hopefully he starts. Hall or Munoz. I would play... Wait, hang on. Hang on a second. Who have Crystal Palace got? Oh, they're at home to Fulham, right? Yeah, home to Fulham or away to Forest. You should really play the home guy, but I'd be tempted to go Lewis. No, I'd say Munoz. Yeah, it's close though. Dallow and Keane plus Burn plus Robinson plus Trent and bench Wood. No. Do not bench Chris Wood. No. Haaland going to punish? Yeah, probably. Oh, it was Mark that said he was guaranteed a green arrow this week. Oof. Bold, cool. Transfer out Jimenez. I hope he does get a green arrow if his team's close to mine. If not, it'd be quite funny if he got a red now. Transfer out Jimenez. No. Play 1, Gabriel, Smith-Rowe, Joachim Anderson. Smith-Rowe, I think. Best 6.5 million midfielder. I mean, I would have said probably Semenyo now. Probably Semenyo. I wonder how many more game weeks it's going to be until I stop mentioning that Bruno's done better than Luis Diaz since Wildcard 6. Probably once I've sold him. So you'll stop hearing about that in about a month's time. That's all I can think of. Whenever anyone says to me, "How have you still got Bruno?" All I can think is everybody else went for Luis Diaz, and then had to spend a transfer straight away. So actually, Fernandes been all right. Come on, just let me have it now. Like, he scored a penalty last week, 10-pointer. Just give me a couple of weeks off the Bruno Fernandes slander. The Queen Vic is a chippy now. The pub closed in 2010. Really? Someone else just said it's still there, unless they were talking about the EastEnders Queen Vic. Spoiler alert, that's not real. Gut feeling to captain Son over Salah, 1 to 10 good. I'd say 9 if you're confident Son goes over 80 minutes. I would say 7 if you're not, but you just want to go for it because it's Ipswich. McNeil out for Semenyo for a hit. Probably not, but it depends who you've got on your bench. Because like I said, McNeil could miss out. Henderson, Vardy, Keane. Could Keane lose his place, by the way? Surely Branthwaite's got to come back in the team if he's fit. Maybe not. Vardy, Keane, Kanate, and Burmo, Salah, Palmer, Rodgers, Smith-Rowe, Haaland, Jimenez, Smith-Rowe for John. Ooh, do you know what? I like Semenyo, but if you've got the money, I'd be tempted to go Johnson and take the Ipswich game. I still think he's a pretty good long-term hold. Foden and Saka to Salah and Johnson for a punt before wildcard 12. It could be nice to roll transfers through a wild card, but I quite like those punts, to be honest with you. So I'd be quite tempted about it. Bench 1, Gabriel, Vardio, Ain't Nuri, Smith Rowe, Kulusevski, Park. Well, you're not benching Spurs players against Ipswich, are you? I would bench Vardio out of those, I think. Father of Fortune, thank you. Can you please tell me, is Rashford a good pick? I've bet for €200 that you wouldn't answer. But if you give me €100, then I'll answer. So you're still making €100. I probably wouldn't buy Marcus Rashford personally. What about Solanke captain? Could be great. Could be great. Like, obviously, Ipswich is a better fixture than Villa, but like, Salah is just so good for FPL. You got to factor that in as well. To be honest, actually, okay, mentioning like Vardio probably going to score again. I think Brighton away is probably. See, I think Brighton away is probably easier than Chelsea away, but Man City defence as well. I actually don't know. I probably would play Gabriel, but it's close. If you wanted to play Vardio instead, I get it. I think Maddison could be benched, yeah, but I can't guarantee it. He played midweek, didn't he? That's the problem. How many minutes did he get midweek? Did he play the whole game? Because most of it, like, Kulusevski came on at half time, I think. Johnson and Som definitely went off at half time. Now, Maddison did come off, but I don't know what minute he came off at. Anyone else know off the top of your head? 60-something, okay. Maybe. Yeah, lots of people saying he's been terrible. I think James on Planet FPL said something similar. He said, I think he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something like, I can't say publicly what I thought of Maddison's performance. And he said, that tells you all you need to know. So, it seems unlikely he's going to play. Leicester are rubbish defensively. Bruno's going to have a field day. I mean, I hope so, but Man United are not very good. I'm quite excited about seeing what Amarin does. Play Sells or Fabianski? I mean, Sells at high. I'll play Sells. Should I take a -4 hit to trade Foden for Son? Son will be my captain. Assume I'm confident he'll play 80 minutes. Honestly, I'd probably not take the -4 and captain someone else personally, but you could do that if you wanted to. João Pedro in the Haaland spot. Already got Wood, Cunha. I mean, João Pedro could be amazing value. I just don't think I can sit here and guarantee you his minutes in a few weeks' time. But if he does play, then yes, I think he's a top pick on wildcard. If you're confident in João Pedro's minutes, he's like 5.4 million is a silly price, honestly. Like one of the best value players in the game, easy if he plays. Am I down for a bet on whose FPL team gets the most points? No, not really. Sell Semenyo or Rodgers for Salah. So I sold Semenyo, right? But I'll say this. Once Semenyo's got that suspension out of the way for the 5th yellow card, he'll probably get at some point soon. Semenyo will play way more 90 minutes than Rodgers, I think, at the moment. Like, Unai Emery spoke again about him going away with the England under-21, saying basically he needs a rest because of the amount of running he's doing in games. He started to get subbed off early, both in Europe and in the league. Like, I think the one in the Premier League last week against Spurs was probably mostly because he'd kind of been taken out twice. Like, he picked up a bit of a knock. Now, Rodgers wanted to play on, but I think Unai Emery just took that as an opportunity to change things. But he is going to get subbed off more than Semenyo. And so in any given game, if the fixtures are similar, I think I prefer Semenyo, but he's also more expensive. So you've got to factor that in as well. I mean, Rodgers might start falling in price. I don't know. But, yeah, like if I kept Semenyo instead of Rodgers, I wouldn't be able to do the moves that I want to do soon. And I'm not going to play Rodgers that much. At least that's the plan. I'm probably going to play... Actually, do you know what? I say that, right? I'm probably going to play Rodgers next week, maybe, instead of Solanke. I'm definitely going to play him against Southampton. And I might even play him against Forest instead of Raul Jimenez. I think it's got like Arsenal or Liverpool. Anyway, that's all I can say on that. Like, I think Semenyo is better than Rodgers in any given game week. most of the time. I don't know if that helps. Probably not. But the money is a thing. Calvert-Lewin, Dibbling, Lewis, Strand-Larsen, Aït-Nouri, Semenyo. So, yeah, I think the 3 players on the right are definitely better. There's just something about spending 3 free transfers and none of them are like premium players or anything. It kind of feels like a bit of a waste, but also you're making... I mean, at least 2 of those are upgrades, I would say, as long as Lewis is not going to start playing every week, which I don't think he will. Like, Semenyo is a massive upgrade on Dibbling, and you could argue Strand-Larsen's an upgrade on Calvert-Lewin. Blackenor, Fabianski, I think. Lost 0.4 on Eze. Am I crazy to keep until fit? I mean, if the rest of your squad's looking okay, you could keep him, yeah? Nothing wrong with that. I don't think that's crazy. Yeah, Semenyo is great. Like, I didn't... Put it this way. Semenyo is like Haaland. I didn't sell him because I think he's a bad FPL pick. I did used to watch WWE a bit. I wasn't as big into it as some of my friends, but I used to go around their house and watch it if they were watching it. Also, I've recently had like so many, like if I'm doom scrolling Instagram or TikTok, I've had so many wrestling videos pushed to me recently. You won the Premier League with Newport on Football Manager last night. Congratulations. Can you captain for differential? I don't hate it, but I think there's much better options this week. Salah, Haaland, and the Ipswich boys. Sorry, the Spurs boys. Fernandes even. Have Son and Salah risk Son captain. If you want to, if you're confident enough in the minutes, yeah. Have I done a captaincy poll? I haven't. So your friends were mad into a fake sport. They were mad into an entertainment show, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think, like... I used to be the same when I was a kid. Like I used to like bash wrestling fans. Oh, I can't believe you think this sport. None of them think it's real. They know it's fake. You know. Can't tell if you're over or under 40 years of age. Yeah, no, that's a problem for me then, isn't it? Just an old man now. Just an old man. Shall I put a Spurs attacker in, not Son, for Palmer for just this week? I wouldn't bother using the transfers. Any news on Byron regarding his injury? No, but I think he was seen in training. What have I got in the bank? Is it worth having 1+ million? Most of the time you want to spend your money. I've got 1.7, but that's because I want to get Saka in soon. Pick one of Raya to Onana or Gabriel to Matsuraoui. Neither. Well, if you're going to do one, I do Raya to Onana because I'm more confident he keeps his place. There's this show called Game of Thrones and I hear it's fake. I don't know. I've seen dragons a few times. I actually find wrestling is appreciated more once you're old enough to digest it. It's fully scripted. Yeah, I agree. The stunts they do is amazing. Like watching like Rikishi get thrown off a cage and stuff like that, or like the Hardy Boys jumping off like 8-foot, 10-foot ladders. Like, who cares if it's fake, right? It was cool. I mean, obviously it would have been better if they were better treated along the way. I've watched that documentary recently, but hopefully that's getting better for them. I think it is. They said they were getting more rest and stuff like that. It was entertaining for sure. Matsuraoui or De Ligt in for a long-term United defender. I think De Ligt, right? But I hope so. For FPL, I would say De Ligt because I think I don't want to use the word guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee with Man United going forward, apart from Bruno Fernandes. I feel like De Ligt has to play as one of those 3 centre backs if they're going to play back 3. I hope, as a fan, that Matsuraoui is in that team. So I think he's actually underappreciated a little bit. Probably not by Man United fans, but I think soon Matsuraoui will get talked about a lot more outside of Man United if Amorim can get them playing better. I just don't know if it's a guarantee that he plays, basically. I think Matsuraoui is very good, and he's been really good recently, but I don't necessarily think that he's a guaranteed starter. Can you make content around 90-minute players, please? Like, what would that involve? That would just involve talking about players. I do that every week, you know. I mean, if there's one thing I feel like I mentioned quite a lot, it's that a player's nailed for 90 minutes and on penalties. I feel like I say that at least once a video for one player or another. Would you do Watkins, Haaland, McNeil, Rodgers, all 4 transfers? Is this for a hit or for free? To Salah, Saka, Solanke, Pedro. Don't need to play Pedro this week, but want Salah, Saka. I don't think there's a rush to get Saka this week. But I also, because McNeil and Rodgers, like McNeil might not play Rodgers Liverpool, I don't mind that. And instead of Pedro, you could get Strand Larson. But yeah, I don't. If that's for free, that goes down as a don't mind it. You're 1 week late on Larson. Am I? He's got Southampton at home this week. Are you selling Larson before Southampton? Presumably not. Play Palmer or Raul Jimenez. I think you've got to play Palmer, honestly. What are your best differential cheap 4.5 defenders? I don't know about ownership, to be honest, but 4.5, Lewis Hall at Newcastle. I think Van Heck possibly from Game Week 13 or Dunk at 4.4 from 13. Who else is 4.5? I mean, Martinez for Man United's on 4 yellow cards, so probably wouldn't go there. There's probably Moreno, maybe, but the thing is, they got bad fixtures coming up. Do you know what? Despite what I've just said, Mazraoui at 4.5 could be a bargain if he holds his place, but there's risk there. There is definitely risk there. Calvert-Lewin or Welbeck to play this week? Probably Calvert-Lewin, I think, just about. Liam, thanks. What watch am I wearing? Do you know what? I'm gonna buy a really cheap watch because the only reason I wear this, I've said this before, right? The reason, I mean, this isn't like mega expensive, but it does look quite nice. The only reason is it's gone down a bit now, but like I have a bit of a tan line because I always wear my watch when I'm on holiday, like my Apple Watch. And so like I have to wear a watch, but I don't want to wear my Apple Watch because when I'm moving my hands around recording videos, it counts my steps. So that's literally the only reason I wear this one. So I'm just going to buy a super cheap watch, and then people won't ask questions about it. This is like a Hugo Boss watch, I think. Someone like every not every week, but in a lot of streams, someone always asks me like, "What is it? Is it one of these watches?" And I go and Google them. They're like super expensive. I'm like, hell no! I just never want to wear a watch that expensive. I'd be too scared that I'd break it or something. Start Rodgers or Hall. That's probably quite close. I'd probably start Rodgers. I usually prefer playing the attackers, but that is quite close. Well, I don't think it is. It is. It says that. Veltman, not a bad shout, I guess, but you wouldn't want him since 13. Okay, so Calvert-Lewin hasn't been seen in training, but that training footage from earlier in the week, and Sean Dyche spoke a lot about Beto versus Calvert-Lewin in his press conference. I think if Calvert-Lewin was injured, he wouldn't have talked about that so much. Why even wear a watch to tell the time, you know? I mean, I know we've got phones these days, but you kind of get used to wearing a watch once you've worn for a long time. I usually just wear an Apple Watch, just count steps, use it for the gym, stopwatch, stuff like that. Guessing you're about my age from the references you sometimes mention. Saturday nights were Baywatch, Gladiators, and Blind Date. 6 p.m. weekdays, Fresh Prince, Simpsons. Whoa! You can't talk about weekdays and not mention 5:35 Neighbours straight after like Grange Hill or Biker Grove or something like that. 5:35. That was my time. Watch Neighbours. Any news on McNeil? No, not really. He's a doubt, but that's all we know. It does sound like there's a lot of talk going around. He's just not going to be in the 11, but there's nothing that's like a guarantee or anything like that. I would say he's probably a bit of a major doubt at the moment. Your lad did a decent job on your Barnet and less hair to pull out when Son bags 3. Yeah, if Son does well, so be it. Like the thing is, I feel better about the Son move because his minutes have been managed. So I was I was a bit more pessimistic about Son's minutes than many people over these 2 weeks. I said that Palmer would play back-to-back 90s when I transferred him in. Obviously, that might not be the case now because he's a doubt. But if he'd stayed fit, he would have got 2 90s. And I was a bit more pessimistic on Son's minutes than most people. But at the same time, if I could go back in time, I'd happily have Son right now. Do I dye my beard? Come on. Do I look like someone that's bothered about what their beard looks like, honestly? They've got a few grey hairs. You can't really see them properly now because I've shaved it. But once it gets a bit longer, there's a few grey hairs in there. Bring on the grey hair. You know what? I'm an old man now. It happens. Bruno or Son to buy this game week? I'm going to say... I can't say Bruno, can I? I think it should be Bruno, though. He doesn't have Man City away next week. He's got Ipswich. Honestly, I think I'd buy Bruno over Son. I know people will hate that, but I think I would. Start 3 of Matsurawi, Gabriel, Aina, Lewis. I think Matsurawi got to start, probably Aina, and then Gabriel. Job done. Dyeing your beard is a crazy life hack, trust. Do I need to dye my beard? What colour would I... yeah, maybe one day. Semenyo a captain shout. Away to Bournemouth, not Brentford. Like... Semenyo will do well, but like he's not so good that he's a captain now. I did watch the Mr. McMahon documentary yet. Any tips for wireless headphones for the Nintendo Switch? Off topic, I know. I don't know. I've got AirPods because I'm just an Apple douchebag these days. Wildcarding in 12. Sell Palmer Vardy for Salah Cunha -4. Probably not. Not for a hit, I don't think. Fabianski might get an 8-pointer, yeah. Would you captain Son if you had him and Salah? I'm not sure I would. Honestly, I'm pretty sure if I was sat here right now with Son instead of Palmer, I'd be saying that Son is differential enough, and I'm not confident in the minutes to captain. I'm almost certain that's what I'd be saying. What rank was I after Game Week 10 in the season when you finished in the top 2K? I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and watch the videos, to be honest with you. Home and away at 60, standard 7. Do you know, I was never the biggest fan of home and away. Like, I was a neighbour's kid. And home and away, yeah, not that bothered, to be honest. Game week 11. Oh, what season was it last year? 2023-24. I'm probably not going to sit here and try and... oh, okay, hang on. We were to me. Yeah, so this time this time 2 years ago, I was 737k, so I was like $1 million better off, actually. It's pretty good. This is just a terrible season at the moment. I can't... for some reason, my videos from last year don't always pop up when I search for them. It always shows the one the year before. I want to know what I was last year, though. Hang on. Bit of scrolling. We can find it. That's the one nice thing about having all the videos. I can go back and see what ranks I was. So I never record it anywhere else. So, Game Week 11 last year. I was... Wait, that's the same... Wait, oh, yeah. I'm looking at 2023 thinking that was 2 years ago, like an idiot. Yeah, I was 737k this time last year. Yeah. So, you know, maybe I can get up there this week. Captain Bruno, be brave. Like, honestly, I get weeks and weeks of how have you got Bruno, and then I don't captain him, and then that's like also a mistake. I ain't captaining Bruno. If he does really well, I'm going to be super happy. Smith Rowe, Bernardo Silva, probably Smith Rowe. Van Dijk, Kanate, or Porro for Lewis, 1.5 in the bank. Oh, I'd be tempted to get a Liverpool defender, but getting Porro for Ipswich at home just sounds so good. I'm going to say Porro. Lewis, Foden, Haaland out. Lewis, Foden, Haaland, Lewis in, Isak, Son, Salah, Vissa. Oh, Calvert-Lewin. Don't hate that if that's for free. How often do I get recognised in public? Not that often, really. Depends where I go, I guess. Every now and again. I went to like Athlone like a couple of weeks ago. Got recognised twice, I think. Definitely once. I feel like there was another time, but I can't remember. Palmer to Bruno for 1 week punt. Not if you're just going to have to bring Palmer back in. I personally wouldn't do it. Currently just over 10k. I've decided to go no Haaland all season. Do I go for it and gamble on triple captain Solanke? I would just save it now if you haven't already used it, to be honest. Everyone in Min League has Solanke -4 for Wood or Raul Jimenez. I would just leave it, to be honest with you. Start 2, Welbeck, Garnacho, Calvert-Lewin. Probably Garnacho and Calvert-Lewin. I know Garnacho might get benched, but I think you've got to take the chance that he starts. Wildcarding in... Oh, no, did that one. Yeah, I don't think I would triple captain Solanke. There's going to be other single game weeks later on, like Salah with good home fixtures and stuff. You could use it on. No early team news yet. Might get something around Everton, maybe. Start Lewis or -4 for anyone else. I'd probably just start Lewis. Thinking of bringing in Cunha for Calvert-Lewin. Thoughts on that? I think Cunha's great, yeah. Would you play Delap versus Spurs? Yeah, I played Delap over Rodgers, I think. I have both Fabianski and Raya. Hart is saying Fabianski, but I think if they both concede, West Ham could concede 2 to 3, whereas Raya may only concede 1. Yeah, maybe Fabianski will make more saves, possibly. Then again, I think on the saves thing, I think Raya's more likely, right? Upgrade Mosquera and leave Lewis as the 4th, 5th defender, or let Lewis go and have the 15th player in the team dead. Money should be no issue with no Haaland. You say that, right? I've got no Haaland, and I've just had to get Strand Larsen instead of Cunha so that I can keep Trent. So money is always an issue. I would sell Lewis and keep having a cheap player, I think. The thing is, right, one kind of devil's advocate thing to say about Rico Lewis, I think some of us, and I include myself in this, are now talking about him as though he's just no good forever. But that might not be the case, right? If Walker continues to play bad, Lewis will still get games. And if there's injuries and stuff, Lewis might still play. And if he does, in some of these games, he's going to be good value. The problem is you're not always going to know exactly when that is that he's going to play. But there are some good fixtures coming up. Like Forest at home, I wouldn't be worried about playing him in that. Palace away is not bad. Everton at home, Leicester away, West Ham at home. Like if he keeps playing over Christmas, he is potentially still a really good value player because he plays for Man City. But personally, I'll be selling him before Pinnacle Greaves because, I mean, Greaves will be back before Mosquera, so I guess it's a little bit easier in that regard. But also just because I want that money for other moves, basically. Do you think there are better midfielders than Mbeumo around his price in the next 7 to 8? I mean, Gordon could be okay. Bowen possibly from 14. Eze if he can get himself back fit. Brennan Johnson's obviously about $1 million less at this point. Like honestly, I'm not really worried if Mbeumo falls a little bit. It's whether or not there's a better option. Honestly, I think people are a little bit too worried about when they're going to sell Mbeumo. Like he's been one of the best values in FPL, value players in FPL this season. Like he's nailed on to start, 90 minutes on penalties. You know, if they get tougher teams, he plays in a front 2 usually in a back 3. I just think there's, I don't know, it just feels like in the last week or so there's like all this concern about when are we going to sell Mbeumo, and like it's worth thinking about. Like I plan a long time in advance too, but you haven't got to worry about it until 14 at the earliest. So unless it majorly impacts your other moves, I would just keep playing Mbeumo and stop worrying about when you're going to sell him. You might get to the point where you want to sell him and there's just no other good options, so you just keep him. Like I'm not against selling him either, but it's not going to be top of my priority list to do. In Burmo's price in 25-26 will be 9.5. It'll definitely be up and over 8. It'll also well, I won't say probably. I don't want to offend Brentford fans, but I think there's a good chance he's at a different club next year. Kudus got banned for 5 games, I think. I think he's already served 2 of them. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Start Dan Burn or Gabriel. Probably Gabriel. It's the away games for Burmo. Yeah, again, I'm not sitting here saying he's essential and you've got to keep him. But I just don't think this is as bad as everyone's making out. Villa away. I mean, it's not great. It's not the 4 fixtures I would pick. Could he get 1 or 2 returns in this time? Possibly. Is there a guarantee someone else does better? I don't know. Maybe. Put it this way, if I get to game week 14 and I've got another move to make, I ain't going to be sitting here thinking about taking Burma out for a hit. I'll just keep hold of him. Thoughts on Rutter after the City fixture? He's quite cheap, right? But the problem is you're going to see the City game. João Pedro's not going to be fit enough for it, so he's probably going to be on the bench. You got 2 weeks off. And then you got a game against Bournemouth away. I would want to see, I would want to see João Pedro get minutes today and then see what the lineup is against Bournemouth away and just see if Rutter fits into that. I just think they've got so many attackers. Like, you've got Rutter, Minter, Adingra that can all play on the right, and Kadioglu's also played there recently. Rutter, João Pedro can both play as the 10. They've probably got someone else that can do it as well that I'm not thinking of. Ferguson can very rarely keep fit, to be fair. So I wouldn't necessarily count him as part of the number 9s, but he's there. João Pedro and Welbeck can both play 9. Like, with midweek games coming up, could you see like Adingra on the right, if he's fit, and then Rutter 10, João Pedro or Welbeck up front? Like, I just think there's going to be rotation. I think I'd be more confident going and get Welbeck or João Pedro than Rutter necessarily. The problem is we haven't really had too many games where they've all been fully fit. And any games early on with Rutter, obviously he'd only just joined the club. And João Pedro was starting. Now João Pedro's been out, Rutter's been playing well, but does that mean he keeps his... I just don't know. Like, he's played well enough where he definitely could keep his place. Like, he could play on the right, but then Minter is also an option. I just don't know. My throat was getting a bit sore. I don't know why. Rob T thinks the betting markets hint at a Calvert-Lewin start. But is Rob taking into account how good Beto is, though? Maybe the betting markets are saying that because they think Beto starts. There's more chance of a goal going in. Yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin will start. Like, if he's fit, he starts. I don't think he's getting benched based off what Sean Dyche said in the press conference. Is Solanke a good option to captain this week or still go for Haaland? I think I would probably still go for Haaland, but I think Solanke's a great captain if you want to do it. Take that Ipswich fixture. I love how quickly things can change in FPL. Like, I was a bit worried as a Solanke owner last. I didn't really have any considerations for selling him, but I was a bit worried last week. Lots of people sold him. And now all of a sudden it's like, do we captain him? Things change so quick. Okay, I'm going to put a poll about this. Lots of people are asking me about this. Who to start? Fabianski. Who? Raya versus... I think I know which way this will fall, and I've got a reason for it, but I don't want to say it. I don't want to impact the poll. I wouldn't pick any Man United attacker right now apart from Bruno. Maybe Højlund, but Højlund's just played like nearly 90 minutes again midweek. Victorious Secret, I've replied to that already. I think you've probably put that in the chat about 20 times now. I mentioned that earlier, that Fabianski could get an 8-pointer. For your information, the person who is number 2 in the whole world of FPL has Bruno. I think they were also number 1 recently. Are we legit concerned about Keane's starting spot? I'm a bit surprised that Branthwaite's not back in yet, but maybe they're just taking no risks with him. I think Branthwaite's available, right? Please tell me if I'm wrong. I think he's been available the last 2 weeks, and Keane keeps starting, so maybe he just played well enough that Sean Dyche wants to keep him in. I thought everyone was going to say Rare, but I might start Fabianski. I think it's fine if you want to play Fabianski. 60% Fabianski. Oof. I thought Raya might win just because more people would own him. There is part of me that thinks if Arsenal get a clean sheet and I've only got Gabriel, I'm probably okay with that. I don't think Arsenal defensive ownership is not at a point where only having sometimes you get to a point where if you only have one defender, it doesn't even help you if they get a clean sheet because the ownership is just so high of people having 2. I don't think that's the case with Arsenal anymore. If I got a clean sheet from Gabriel only, that would give me a green arrow. West Ham are poor, exactly. And Tadibo might not be fit, right? I think I'm going to play Raya. Stats show... Someone said, can you make a short summary of the stream? I was going to mention Beards, Beard Dye, WWE, Preston, worthless uni degrees. That's about it, really. Stats show Brighton conceded few from middle this season and less conceded from all sides. Can we captain Bruno instead of Haaland? I mean, you can, but honestly, I don't really pay too much attention to stats like that. We're working off small samples anyway, right? I think Haaland's better than Fernandes. But if you want to go differential, there's nothing wrong with Fernandes. Thing is, if I bench Fabianski and he gets a clean sheet, that means Calvert-Lewin's blanked, so I might feel happy about that either way. And if Fabianski... Yeah. And if he doesn't get a clean sheet, then it was right to bench him, right? Why do a poll then just go the opposite? Well, it's not really for my decisions, it's just what people want to see in general. I'm happy to make my own decisions most of the time. I would captain in Burma over Cunha, honestly. Captain Salah or Haaland, Salah for me. Best one game week pump for wildcard: Bowen, Gordon, Garnacho. None of the above. I guess Bowen out of those 3. I'd throw Rashford into the mix instead of Garnacho. I mean, Calvert-Lewin could score. He has been a little bit unlucky not to get any returns the last 6. Not saying he should have had as many returns as Wood, but at least one maybe. 3 free transfers. I'm thinking Lewis to Delict, Ndai to Strand Larson, and Raya to Sells. I don't think you need to necessarily sell Ndai, but I don't mind either. Actually, do you know what? I hate that. Now I've looked at it again, I hate that. 3 free transfers and you're selling Raya to get Sells probably at the wrong time, I guess. I don't like those moves, if I'm honest. The 3 free transfers doesn't feel like big enough upgrades to me. Should I start Saka for Isak, Wood, Raul Jimenez, or Garnacho? I would definitely start Saka, probably ahead of... See, if Garnacho starts, I wouldn't bench him, but there is a chance he's benched. So I'm going to have to say Garnacho, even though I don't really like saying that. But I'd have to play Saka if I had him. Raya or Flecken? Probably Raya. Abby, new member, thank you. Branthwaite won't sign a new contract, so he's not playing. Is that true? Can you really be that petty about it? Like your best defender, probably. I mean that is part of the thinking with Fabianski. I should probably play him because I know what it's like to own Calvert-Lewin. Start Flecken or Fabianski. Fabianski, I think. One free transfer. Keep Saka or get Palmer. I would just keep Saka. I think. I'm not convinced McNeil will start. Sell Bowen to Bruno or Calvert-Lewin to Højlund/Larsen. Bowen's alright this week, I think. I'd probably. Then again, Bruno's great. I like Bruno 3-week punt. Didn't Strand Larsen take a penalty early this season? I don't think so. No. Bruno and Burmo, Cunha captain. I would captain them in that order. So Cunha last. Pickford versus West Ham or Fabianski. I'd go Fabianski. Just go for the guy at home, basically. It'll be typical that everyone plays Flappy Hansky over Raya, only for Raya to get the first clean sheet in weeks. Yeah, I'm just gonna play Raya. I think I'm just locked in. I'm locked in. Looking forward to the international break. Didn't know. Strand Larsen or Cunha. I think Cunha will score more points from now until 17, which is basically when Wolves' great fixtures end. And as long as it doesn't block any other moves, I'd go for Cunha. But Strand Larsen might keep your options open because of the money saved, basically. That's the long and the short of it. I'm going to have to just be right back. 1 minute. 1 minute. Right, that's the last time. Last time I leave this stream. Apologies. Sometimes you just drank a lot of water in a day, you know? So apologies. I'm sure a load of people jumped off, but there's still about 7,000 of you here, so thank you very much. Plans for Palmer just to roll and keep him for 12. Probably not captain him. I'll probably captain Salah in 12. Have I just... Sorry. Oh, hang on. Wait, did I not? I thought I can't find my tweet to say that I was live. Weird. Oh, I'll be live until the... Oh, I messed that up. Oops. Okay. Right, sorry. Is it time for Newcastle defenders like Livramento or Hall? I wouldn't go Livramento just in case Trippier takes minutes off him when he's back fit. I also think Wood might blank. Wood might blank, but I don't think that means that you've got to bring Newcastle defenders in. But I do like Lewis Hall. Your mic is proper dusty. Probably. Probably is. Do I have Botox? Put it this way, right? Whenever I have to get like any kind of like flu jab or have blood taken, I've always got to tell the person that takes it or does the jab that I'm prone to fainting because of needles. Although I haven't fainted for a very long time because of it, but I have to tell them that because I have an irrational fear of them. And so the idea of injecting myself with Botox or getting someone else to do it, hell no. Hell no. Lewis, Headache, or Greaves out for 8 Nuri. I mean, if the funds are not... Sorry, if the money spent is not going to get in your way, I'd probably go Greaves out. But it likely will at some point, so probably Lewis, I think. Any plans to start my other channel back up? Not really. I saw Luke... Luke is predicting a Lewis start, so basically inverting into midfield from left back, but I'm still going to play Pinnock, I think. Lewis, Cavalier, Mikalenko, Fabianski on the bench boost. Oh, there's no way I'd bench boost that. It's not terrible, but I can't get to a Spurs player without taking a hit. Just go without. You also think the Beto starts ahead of Calvert-Lewin's take. Calvert-Lewin's XG is appalling. It's pretty similar to Chris Wood this year, by the way. Like, it's not as high now, I'm sure, but Chris Wood's XG this year is 4.5. Calvert-Lewin's is 3.8, I think, or something like that. 3.5. So 1 XG behind. 0.1 per game. Not that bad. Yeah, I'm not sure Beto will start based on what Sean Dyche said in his press conference, but we'll see. Lewis starting as a left back and inverting into midfield is basically what he thinks, but it's not a guarantee. Fabio Carvalho out, leaves 7 million in the bank. Any 7 million midfielder recommendations? Johnson, probably. Semenyo. No, I don't faint seeing a needle, but like when I know I'm gonna have to have one, I start to feel a bit sick. And by the way, I know it doesn't, like, especially for like a flu jab or something like that, it doesn't hurt. It's a tiny needle. It's in and out in like seconds. And I'm much better with them now. But I had I think it's like a meningitis jab or something when I was at school, and I fainted after it. So it's not like I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh God, if I see a needle now, I'm gonna faint." But like, it's just the thought of it, and it's irrational because I know it doesn't hurt. Blood's a bit different because the needle has to stay in, and so I hate that. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I said it to the person that gave me one the other day. I just said to them, I know this is stupid. I said I just can't control it. I can tell my brain this doesn't hurt, but my brain doesn't care. It makes me feel not great about them. But I'm not too bad with like flu jabs and stuff now. Any news on Palmer? Nope. Is it worth to only use my free transfer for Palmer to Son and captain him and then Son back to Palmer? I don't think so. I would just captain Salah or Haaland. You're definitely going to want Palmer from game week 12 if he's fit. Like there's no doubts around it. Everyone will want him. Would you bench Havertz over Semenyo this week? Are we at the point where we're benching Havertz for Semenyo? Maybe, yeah, maybe would. We stopped talking about needles in a second. The last time I had blood taken, the nurse was very like, how do I put this? Blunt, maybe. And I'm sat there saying to her, I'm feeling quite faint, and she's saying, well, really, you should have, bought a drink or something. I'm like, yeah, I know I should have done that, but like, it's too late now. I was like, can I just go and lie down? Okay, now some of the questions start rolling in. We'll get off this conversation. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to go through whether you should get them or not. I see Luke has 4 possible line. Yeah, exactly. Lewis is not guaranteed to start, like I said. But I think his last post was that he thinks he will. Get Botox or keep Calvert-Lewin. Keep Calvert-Lewin. I could have almost rolled this week, honestly. Start Robinson or Gabriel or bench or both and bench Palmer. I wouldn't bench Palmer. I'd maybe play Robinson over Gabriel. It's quite close. I think if it was me, I'd go Gabriel. Sawtooth, yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, Sawtooth, not good. Is Porro captain outrageous? I think I would not do that. Like if Romero, I would not put it past Spurs to concede to Ipswich. Honestly, I really like Porro as an option this week. Captain is a bit too far for me, probably. Roslev benched and Burmo starts. Oh yeah, I think Talk Bees tweeted that, right? Just in case there's any Roslev owners in here, probably not. What does that mean though? Who's playing instead? The spiders scare me too. Not really. Although I think if I lived in Australia, maybe they would more. The size of them. The word outrageous was designed for someone looking to captain a Tottenham defender. Fair enough. Your words, not mine. If I had Maddison, would I get rid? I definitely would next week onwards. This week, I think, put it this way, I'm glad I don't have Maddison because it must be such a headache. Like, you want to play him because it's such a good fixture, but you know deep down he's probably not going to start. Next week, I'm definitely getting rid of him. This week, I'd still be tempted. The thing is, if you sell him and he starts, it's going to be an absolute killer. Yeah. I look, it's not often you sell an attacker before it switches your home, but I think Madison owners have got an excuse. If you don't like needles, how did you get your tattoos? I'll never get a tattoo for that reason. Start Kanate or Lewis. I have Trent starting. Kanate, definitely. Is it making sense to not use transfers till the end of the international break? Yeah, if you're not going to be priced out and stuff. Who knows? There could be loads of injuries. I've used my transfer. I'm going to have one free transfer in 12. That could be an absolute killer. 1 week punt. Wildcard 12. Foden, Calvert-Lewin to Solanke Johnson -4. I wouldn't take a -4. I know you want Spurs players. It could pay back massively. I don't think I would do it though. Do I feel better now without Haaland clogging up captaincy? I mean, yes, because Haaland blanked last week. I might not feel so good about it if he gets a hat trick today. But in general, I'm at peace with it. I said that when I made the move. Like, this week I made my transfer last night. There's been no stress. Saka to Son. I really wasn't sure that was last minute. Son to Palmer again was last minute move. Like stressful deadline streams. I appreciate deadline streams are not stressful, but you know what I mean. But last week when I sold Haaland, I said at the time, I'm just going to do it, and I don't really feel that that worried about it. And like, I obviously don't want Haaland to return, and I know he will, but I still feel the same way about having done it. I just don't. It's like whatever. I'm not really worried. Like in some ways, I'm more worried about what Ain't Nouri's going to do than Haaland because I've got Pinnock up against Ain't Nouri, whereas I've got Salah up against Haaland. And if Trent can start returning and double Arsenal defence is good from 12 onwards, then it will have been the right call. But if my premium defenders keep blanking, then it's the wrong call to have sold Haaland. Like it's a close thing, and like, I mean, some people might think otherwise, but it's very rare that I sit here and ever gloat about something working or say that people have been super lucky. Like, if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's also fine. Like, it's it's just one of those things. You've got to make a decision and hope it works out. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. If it works out really well, then I'll be happy I've got loads of green arrows, but I'm also fully aware it might not work. And it ain't going to work every week. That's the other key thing. Like, this is a long-term decision. I think some people are going to sell Haaland, and as soon as he gets a hat-trick, they're going to be asking me whether they should transfer him back in. And if you're that person, just don't sell him. Honestly. Like, there will be a week. Like, look at last week, right? I only had 3 players that actually returned for me, and I got a big green arrow. Partly helped because I'm such a low rank. But it also happened because Haaland and Saka both blanked. There will be weeks where Haaland smashes it and Salah blanks. Like this week, Salah, Palmer, Fernandes blank. I'm in trouble, aren't I? So, anyway, I've probably gone off on a bit of a ramble and tangent about that. I don't even know how it started, but oh, it was something about captaincy. Yeah, I'm fine. Salah and Palmer captaincy rotates really well for quite a while. And even when, I've said this before, even when people, like anyone that sold Haaland, they're probably going to be earmarking game week 18 at the latest to get him back in. But even then, Salah's got Leicester at home in 18, which is Boxing Day, and Palmer in 19 has got Ipswich away. So if those two are still fully fit, there's your captains for those 2 weeks. You don't have to get Haaland back in. But also, it might be worth it. It's not really possible to get a Salah, Haaland, Palmer team. I mean, it will be possible, but like unless you're on wildcard soon, it's probably going to be quite difficult to get to that with minimal transfers, and you have to make sacrifices. And you're just hoping that like Trent and Gabriel and stuff don't work out, and I'm hoping they will long term, but who knows? I could be sat here next week and be back down to 2.9 million. Captain options: Bruno, Haaland, Cunha, or Johnson. I would go probably Haaland. Johnson and Cunha are close, and then Johnson and Bruno are close, then Cunha last. Mikalenko out for Aina. I don't think it's the right time to be buying Aina. I would just play Mikalenko and roll. Lose Calvert-Lewin or Watkins this week. Both go eventually. Probably Calvert-Lewin. Just because when you say eventually, it might not be next week. And from next week, Watkins has got good fixtures. From game week 12, rank them. Colwill, Hull, Veltman. Probably that order. I think Veltman will keep starting, but there is a possibility that Kadioglu could play right back at some point, I presume. I think he's good enough to play there, right? I don't know if that's a guarantee. Veltman's minutes are pretty good, so I could be wrong about that, but I'd probably order them in that order right now. On wildcard 12, 3 free transfers, 8 million, 1 week punt to replace Diaz, or just bench Diaz, roll the transfer, play Rodgers. Do you know what? 3 free transfers, I'd be tempted to get someone better in. Like you can literally go to like Brendan Johnson or someone like that. Or to even take a punt on like Rashford. Because you're still going to have 2 free transfers the other side. Like Diaz might not even play. Rodgers got a terrible fixture. In your case, I'd be tempted to take the punt. It's up to you. Rolling is also perfectly fine. 67% say they would play Fabianski. Just over 6,000 votes. I'm going to play Raya. I don't think there was going to be I mean, there could be, right? But I don't think there's going to be a last minute change of heart. Mikalenko's a hold, bound to go up in value. I don't think that's that likely because Everton's fixtures get really bad soon. I've got 1.7. I've never had, well, not never, but I've had quite a few questions about money in the bank this week. It's also the same week where I actually put my money in the bank on the news and info bit. It's funny that I put it there. Although that's not scrolling, is it? So maybe that's yeah, it's not scrolling, is it? Just realised that. There you go. 1.7 in the bank. If you're 100% sure Lewis would start, would you play him? Yes, I probably would play him ahead of Pinnock, yeah. If I was 100% sure he was starting, and if you could guarantee me like 60 plus minutes. Haaland and Rodgers for Jackson and Salah, 2 free transfers now or wait. I don't mind it this week, but I'm not sure I would buy. The problem is Jackson's 1 yellow card away from a suspension, and given that it's Arsenal, it could come in this game, and then you miss Leicester. Like, that would be a bit of a killer, you know? Lewis to 8 Nuri or Calvert-Lewin, Strand Larson. Probably the Lewis move, but it's quite close. 27 months, by the way, thank you. Sold Harden last week to have enough money to do Smith Rowe to Son or Saka. Oof. I just think from 12 onwards, you'd rather have Saka than Son. If Son can build up his minutes and be like an 80-plus minute player every week, I think he's competitive with Saka, but I'm not sure he is that player necessarily and how quickly he'll build up that fitness. So I'm going to say Saka, but it makes more sense to have Son this week. Of course it does. But long term, I think I would prefer Saka than Son. Rao got subbed off early, could have been his start. I don't think so. I mean, he could, but I don't think he will. Like, Raul Jimenez also got subbed off early in 7, 6, 5, and 4. Calvin to Raul Jimenez or Larson or hold. I already have Cunha. Well, I mean, what if you hold? What's your plan from next week onwards? Colwell, long-term best Chelsea defender. That is who I would buy right now. I think by the time I want to buy a Chelsea defender, I won't be fully confident in Reece James's fitness. Like, why would you be, you know? I've said this before. I really, really hope this is the season where Reece James just puts together like 10, 20 games back to back. But for FPL, I'm just not willing to risk it. And to pay more for the privilege as well. He does take a few corners and stuff, but he's not like super attacking at the moment. Brentford conceded 6 goals in their last 2. Yeah, Brentford defence is terrible. Like, I'm not playing Pinnock because I'm expecting a clean sheet. I've been baffled by you having Fernandes all season now. Just bought him in. Well, the fixtures are pretty good now. The funny thing about all the Bruno transfers in, I mean, it's not been a huge amount, right? To put it into perspective, Solanke's had like 600,000 transfers in. Fernandes had nearly 300,000, right? All he's done is scored a penalty. He's still got no goal from open play. So I do find it quite funny that I've spent 10 game weeks getting grief about Fernandes. He scores a penalty, which he could get any given week, right? You can't predict it. And now it's like 300,000 transfers in. I don't know. That's just FPL it's just funny sometimes. He could have scored like 4 in his first 2 games this season. I know! I've been trying to say that. I've been trying to say that for 10 game weeks. He's been unlucky. Anyway. Let's hope today is another or let's hope this weekend is another double-digit haul. Currently on 8 Nuri, Gabriel, Lewis. I've got Robertson on the bench. Who's better to sell, Dallo or Porro? To get Dallo or Porro? I'm confused. Do you know what? I would play Robertson over Lewis. I think Robertson will start. I think Robertson starts. So I think 8 Nuri, Gabriel, and Robertson's fine. If you're going to sell one, I'd sell Robertson if you're going to sell one, though. Play Rodgers or Vandenberg. Rodgers. What are your thoughts on Cunha over Larson? I think Cunha will score more points. I just don't know if he'll score enough to warrant 1.1 million. If it's not going to block you from anything, go for Cunha. Yeah, new manager bounce, sure, but like, it was Ruud van Nistelrooy, basically. I mean, the only thing Ruud van Nistelrooy's really changed, I guess, massively is playing Ugarte and Casemiro. Otherwise, it's pretty much just a Ten Hag team, Ten Hag setup. Like, I think Bruno would have been a good option this week, even if Ten Hag was still in charge. Just because the fixtures are good. Vardy will almost certainly start, yeah. Yeah, manage to dismiss. Like, I get it. It's come at a good time. But honestly, I think... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. I'm glad people are buying him. I missed your super chat. Did I? Probably. Martinez or Matsurawi. I'd probably take the risk on Matsurawi, especially with Martinez on 4 yellow cards. Vardy to Larson -4 or roll. I'd roll. That's the one I missed, right? Bench 1, Welbeck, Jimenez, and Solanke. Welbeck out of those. Can you believe that Fernandes will score from open play plus 1 penalty plus assist? Like, do I think Fernandes can get 2 goals, 1 assist in 1 game? Of course he can, yeah. Something I randomly remembered this morning, right, which made me laugh because It's not going to be a funny story, by the way. But like, there's all this talk this season about the fact that I'm just too scared to sell Bruno. I'm just too biased. Believe it or not, there was a time when Bruno Fernandes was almost considered essential, like by FPL managers, when he was pretty cheap, getting penalties every week. And I actually sold him to De Bruyne, and I basically got all the same stuff I'm getting now about not selling him, just the opposite way. It's like, you can't sell Bruno. There's no, like, imagine saying now there's no way you can sell Bruno for Kevin De Bruyne. You would never say that now, right? But like, it happened before. So like, I'm okay with selling players that are not doing well, or are doing really well. Like Haaland hasn't been doing well recently. I'm okay making those big moves, but when the time is right, and the time just hasn't been right for me to sell Bruno, unfortunately. But in game week 13, then we sell him, or maybe 14. No, I get it. It's not the same circumstance. I get it, right? But it's just like, you wouldn't imagine that now, saying to people, there was a time when selling Bruno was considered a bad move. Am I looking forward to seeing England play under Tuchel? Yes. I'm also a bit disappointed that he's just not managing now. I think it's a bit weird, to be honest with you. Bruno has the most upside in the league at that price. Don't know about most upside, but I do think he's a good price, yeah. To be honest. Like, he's got 1 goal so far. How are we back on Bruno, chat, by the way? That's my fault, probably. He's got 1 goal from 3.8 XG. The returns are coming. I feel this international break comes at the wrong time. Big moves to make and price change will have an impact. Move early to avoid being priced out or hold my nerve. It depends how big the move is, right? If it's something you definitely want to do, you could go early and then just stress for the whole international break. Nothing wrong with that. Part of the reason that I did Son to Palmer was not only because I thought Palmer's minutes would be better for 10 and 11, but also because I wouldn't be sat there in the international break waiting for him to rise in price. Yeah, again, like, you really don't need to. What's his non-penalty XG? Well, he's only had 1 penalty, right? So it's going to be about 3, something like that. 3.1, 3.2. You really don't need to tell me that Brentford defence is rubbish. I'm fully aware. I just don't want to take a hit. And I want to take a hit even less so now, because Lewis to a cheap defender funds Bruno to Saka, and I really want to make sure that I get it right with who to buy. Like, I might do Lewis to Colwill in game week. If I think that Chelsea defence is better than Brighton, I might do Lewis to Colwill in 12 to free up the money, and do it before Lewis potentially drops in price, and then not play Pinnock. Wouldn't surprise me if 2 good games and better tactical setup under Amorim and Bruno is seen as essential again. I don't think that will happen, because Arsenal and Man City away in 14 and 16. But I definitely see a world where Bruno's good over Christmas, because he starts every game for 90 minutes. And Man United can get a penalty in those tougher games, right? That's why I've said a few times now, the plan is Fernandes to Saka in 13 or 14, but if I have to keep Bruno, then I just will. And also, it'd be quite nice at this point just to keep Bruno for the whole season, because everyone keeps going on about that's what I'm going to do. No updates on McNeil. Anana, Dallo, and Trent, and Robinson, and Burn. Wait, what's the question? Is a punt worth with the above? Bench is Keane, Rogers, and McNeil. Harden captain. Johnson's good. Jimenez is good. Mbeumo is good. Salah, yeah. That team looks pretty good to me. When you say a punt, like, I guess sell one of those players, right? But I don't know who. Solanke or Haaland captain? I go Haaland, but Solanke's more than good, for sure. Lewis or Vandenberg? I go Vandenberg, I think. Lewis versus Pinnock? Yeah, I'm playing Pinnock. I don't know if Lewis is starting. A few people are saying that he could start as the left back and invert into midfield, but who knows? Maybe he does. Skater boy rocking up MTV. I've not seen any early team news yet from any team. Oh, apart from the fact that Mbeumo starts. Wait, yeah, it was Mbeumo flag, wasn't it? By most upside in the league, I mean nobody in a top team. Would you consider Man United top team? No one in the top team on penalties with that XG is near that price. The equivalent would be like Son, Salah, Saka, but they're all 2 million plus. Yeah, I think Fernandes is potentially good value for sure. Just hasn't happened so far. Foden to Mbeumo, or roll. I'd probably roll. Start Gabriel or Collins. Gabriel, I think. Last FPL deadline before I could become a dad. Congratulations in advance. Good luck. Enjoy it. You'll have plenty of nights to contemplate FPL decisions. That's for sure. Who's actually out for Arsenal right now? Possibly Rice, but I suspect he'll be fine. Calafiori, I guess, as well. Is that about it, I think? Bought Bruno this week. I'm ready. Nice. I sometimes play Super 6 if I remember to submit it. I need to submit my sleeper picks, actually. Someone won Game Week 10 in Sleeper with 8 predictions. No one else got 8. So usually I have to do a draw. No draw today. Why am I not playing Lewis? I just don't know if he's going to start. He might start. And if it feels like this morning people are a little bit more sure about him starting, but it ain't a guarantee. And that's about it. Has the cartel got any news on me? Oh, come on. The cartel stuff's boring now, no. Am I worried about microplastics from drinking out a plastic bottle and not glass? Not really. Like, everything's killing me these days, so like, yeah. Should I be worried? I've drank out of... Actually, I don't drink out of plastic cups. Well, I do these days quite often, but I never used to. Start one, Bruno or Palmer. I mean, I guess Bruno, if Palmer's a doubt. I've got Vardy and Cavalier, and who should I sell? I mean, they've both got pretty poor fixtures coming up. I'd say Vardy. Am I solely a content creator? Yes. Flecken or Fabianski in goal? Fabianski. Calvert-Lewin and Gabriel to 8 Nuri and Strand Larsen -4. No. I would see Calvert-Lewin for free. Haaland and Foden to Salah and Larsen, or roll and do it next week. If you're going to do it anyway next week, I'd rather do it this week for the fixtures. Jackson or risk Ahmad? Ooh, Jackson probably. I'm not rolling the transfer. No, I've got Strand Larsen in. It's not even 5 minutes left. It's less than 4 minutes. So make sure to get your transfers locked in. If you haven't already, by the way, give the stream a like. That'd be much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button as well. We are well on our way to 434,000 subscribers. Only 273 off. With so many engaged managers going Salah captain, does it make Haaland a differential captain? It might be within the engaged managers, possibly. Overall, probably not. Oh. Inside of my nose is very sore. Do I know of any FPL content creators in the US? Always cheating guys. FML, FPL are both American as well. Maybe some others. I don't know really. I'm sure there are. Palmer or Foden out to either Son or Bruno. I'd go Foden to... I want to say Bruno over Son, but I feel like it's going to massively backfire. Foden and Haaland out for Salah and Kenny. It just doesn't sound right, does it? But I'll be a little bit tempted. You're allergic to needles. Are you also... I'm not allergic to needles. Dude, we talked way too much about needles in this stream, by the way. Who to bench between Porro, Gabriel, Lewis and Kanate? I would just bench Lewis because he's the only one out of those I wouldn't be 100% sure he's going to start. Can't believe there's no team news. Well, I mean, there's a bit of Brentford stuff, right? But that's about it. Call me mad, but there's a world where I love the idea of Rashford in this week. I'm not going to do it, but he's got to have some form coming. Maybe. Yeah, I don't hate it as a very short-term punt. Always appreciate your dizzying intellect. That's definitely sarcasm. Dibbling for Southampton, is he starting? If you tell me this, I'll be forever in your debt. I got no idea. I've not seen any team news apart from that Brentford stuff about Raw Slevin thingy. Raw Slev and Imbermo. Slanky or Salah? I'm going Salah, but Slanky's good too. Should I do Cavalier and Strand last? And if I do, I'll be able to get Palmer and Foden out next game. We can get Strand later on. I guess you mean Strand out later on. If it allows you to get Palmer, then yeah. I like that, for sure. 30 seconds to go. I need to double check that my team is all good. So I'm locked in. Salah captain, Solanke vice captain. I'm kind of tempted to vice captain Fernandes, but it probably won't matter because Salah's going to play. Pinnock over Lewis, Rogers first bench, Greaves, Fabianski's going to be benched. I'm going to play Raya for sure. Are we going to finally see Rico Henry play? I don't know, to be honest. Hello. Nice. Are you free hitting? Oh my god, let me see. Casemiro, come on, you can't free it. Oh, that is terrible. Is that really a free hit team?
Yeah, I didn't really think much about it.
Oh my days, it's terrible.
I forgot to do that.
Davis got Spurs away. Raya. Oh no, that's bad. I bet you do really well. That's terrible. Sorry, hate to say it. It's absolutely terrible. The deadline's gone now. Right, can I just say, right, when everyone was saying to me that I should listen to him because he triple captain Palm, oh, it's gone now, isn't it? Oh, it's gone. He's got Davis, Casemiro, Winks. Get out of here. It's terrible.
Hey, don't make fun of me.
Go away. Go away. Go away. Yeah, deadline. We're done. We're locked in. Yeah, everyone said I should listen to him because of Palmer triple captain when he smashed it. But like that free hit's one of the worst free hits I've ever seen. Tom, shut that door, would you? Dissension in the ranks. I guarantee now, he's. It was so bad. Casemiro optimal under the new manager, possibly. He'll outscore the 10. He'll probably outscore me, yeah. Probably. Right, I am. Well, he's just come home. He's just come home now. He only just walked through the door just a second ago. Good barber, exactly. Good barber. I'm just going to do the shout out for Game Week 10 Sleeper because someone won ahead of everyone else. I just need to set it up a second. Let me just do that and that and that. And then click this and this and this. Here we go. Don't come and go like you do. I locked in Bruno captain. I hope it works out well for you. So if you haven't already played Pick'em, it's super easy on Sleeper. There's a link in the description below if you want to get it downloaded. I'm going to do my picks in a minute. But if I just go to last week, I think they were called a slot machine. Yeah, for match day 10. Oh, let me just click off that. Yeah, match day 10, a slot machine got 8 correct picks, and then a few of you got 7. So I don't even have to do a draw this week. So I've already DM'd the slot machine to give you a Premier League shirt of your choice. If you want to if you want to download and play, like I said, link in the description below. All you have to do is just choose who's going to win or draw in each game. And the winner, whoever gets the most predictions, will get a Premier League shirt of their choice. And whoever gets the most predictions for game weeks, I think it's 11, 10, 9, 8 will get AirPods. But obviously at this point you're probably too late if you haven't done that. But there's still a shirt up for choice. You should set your watch by that haircut. I'm guessing that's a dig, but I'm not sure what it means. I'm going to go for a draw between Brentford and Bournemouth. I'm going to go for a Palace win, even though I got Raul Jimenez. West Ham win. Wolves win. City win, just because everyone's down on them at the moment. Liverpool win. Forest Newcastle. I'm going to go for Forest win. They're going to win like 1-0 or something. United win by a mile. Spurs win. Chelsea Arsenal. I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. Cole Palmer blank and double clean sheet to come in. That's it. That's all you have to do. Simple as that. Just join my league using the link in the description below. Is there a winner each week on Sleeper? So basically, I'm just going to decide what the prizes are. Like there might be like a prize a week. It might be a prize for whoever gets the most predictions over 2 weeks. But at the moment, for game week 11, there is a Premier League shirt of your choice to whoever gets the most predictions. If it's a draw, in terms like let's say 4, 5, 6 people have all got the same amount of top predictions, then I'll do a draw on the next deadline stream, so game week 12. You might have seen me do that a few times before. I just don't need to do it this week because one person got 8 predictions and no one else did. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back tomorrow, but obviously it is an international break. So Sunday, knee-jerk stream. There'll be a few videos next week. Then I'll go quiet for a few days, and then we'll be back for next week. So thank you very much for joining me. Good luck this week. If you haven't already, give the stream a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Enjoy your weekend. Let's hope that... Well, I hope I get a green arrow. I guess the rest of you, I kind of want you to do well because you're watching the content. But I also would... If you could all get red arrows, there's more chance of me getting a green arrow, which would be nice. So I'm a bit conflicted. But anyway, hope it goes well for you, especially if you've got Bruno Fernandes. I will catch you again soon.